first and foremost, I wanted to say thank you so much. I know your mom explained what we're doing. I'm going to school, and she agreed that you could come over and I could ask you some questions, so I appreciate that. But I want to make sure I ask you too. Like, I would like to have your consent. Are you comfortable with this? Are you okay with this? Okay, good. Good to know. Also, wow, I love the bracelets. So many bracelets. Those are amazing. How long did it take you to collect all those?
I have more.
You have more than that.
Yeah, I have like a whole this size big.
Wow.
I'm really full right now.
So you are definitely a fan of jewelry. Yes. Okay. Okay. So just to start off, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? How old are you? Where are you going to school?
I'm 14. I'm going to Toledo School for the Arts, and I'm majoring in dance, and I really want to be an author. I'm writing a book.
You're writing a book. Wow, that's really cool. So you have like a major at your school, you said? You're majoring in dance and writing then, since you're writing a book, or is it?
Not really. I'm just doing writing on my own time because the writing class is really bad.
Okay, but dance, that's exciting. Is there a certain kind of dance that you prefer?
Modern.
Okay, so is that your major then, is modern dance? Nice. All right, so this is gonna be just informal, just me asking you just a few questions. Okay. Okay, so you said you're going to forgive me, in high school. In high school?
8th grade.
8th grade, okay. 8th grade. You're in 8th grade, and you're going to TSA, and you're majoring in dance. Nice, okay. So, have you ever skipped school?
Yes,
Or
last year.
you skipped school. But how did you skip school?
Okay, so we go to these 2 different buildings at my old school. So on the way back on the way to my second school that I was going to, I got off the bus and just walked away. I had to go like once by myself and twice with my friend.
So you've done it multiple times. You've done this 3 times. So you walked away from school from the bus.
Yeah. The bus driver didn't care.
So that's something you did multiple times.
Yeah.
Now, was there a reason why you decided to skip school on those occasions?
I just didn't want to go.
So there was no reason for that? There wasn't
Not
like
really.
a big test that was going on or anything that...
No, 'cause if there was a big test, I wouldn't want to do makeup work and make it a big test.
Okay, so you just decided you just weren't gonna go, and so what did you guys do instead of going to school?
So the first time I did it alone, I just went home. And then the second time I went to the park. There's a park by our school.
You went to the park?
Yeah.
You said that was the time you did it alone, or the second time you did not do it alone? Yeah, that's when you went to the park?
Yeah.
So you and your other friend went to the park. What did you guys do at the park?
We just sat there for like 3 hours.
Okay. Just sitting there. Were you afraid that anyone was gonna find you?
Not really.
Or see you
If they
at
did,
the park?
we didn't really care.
You weren't afraid of any consequences?
Not really.
Okay. So you skipped out on school 3 times. And then, just because there was no reason, there was no... So, I'm curious, if you had to define what a worry or an anxiety was, how would you describe that?
Most of the time I would throw up.
So the reaction to anxiety is to throw
like
up?
Bouncing your leg, breathing heavy, scratching yourself. Like.
So those are symptoms then of like anxiety that you would experience? When have you experienced these symptoms?
8th period. Like every day. For no reason.
What do you have 8th period?
English.
English. You have English 8th period. And you have a lot of anxiety around that class.
For some reason. Like, it's a really easy class. My teacher likes me, I like my teacher.
So is it the material that you're working on? Like, is it the assignments that she assigns you?
No, they're really easy.
Is it maybe people you're with, or
There isn't really anyone that I don't like in the school. Other than this one person, she's really annoying.
is that person in 8th period with you? So just you find that you just become anxious in 8th period.
Yeah, but then I get out of school and I'm like, yay.
Is 8th period the last day of school?
Yeah, it's the last period.
Okay. What do you do after school?
Come home and hang out with my friends. Eat food.
And that's something you look forward to.
Because after school, they also have after school lunch for free.
Okay, so after 8th period, you get to have an after school lunch. And that's something that you look forward to.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of homework in 8th period?
No, we don't usually have homework.
But you just find that for some reason it's just that period that you feel a little bit of anxiousness.
Yeah.
Okay. How often would you say you feel that anxiousness? Like every single 8th period, or
3-4 times a week. Cause sometimes
so it's not every single.
Because sometimes
day.
we have a PM schedule, so my 8th period is longer. And we get to have free time.
Okay. Now tell me, how often do you feel feelings of maybe sadness, or do you ever find yourself having just sadness? How often do you ever feel sadness during?
I mean, yeah. Quite often. But I just ignore it.
You feel
Go on
sadness
with life.
often? What would be symptoms of your sadness? How are you feeling?
Anxious, I guess.
So does it go along with your anxiety that you would have in 8th period?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that in any other period that you have?
Sometimes 6th period, just because I hate that period. 'Cause it's science. And it's the worst.
And it makes you feel sad.
Yes, I hate my teacher. We always have homework. It's annoying. But then I get to go to 7th period, and I really like 7th period.
Okay.
I also don't like orchestra.
You don't like orchestra,
No.
and you don't like science, so you feel sad in those periods?
I don't really feel sad in orchestra, I just feel annoyed.
Okay.
It's the longest period of the day.
Yeah.
Because I just get to sit there and I just go, I hate it here. I don't like orchestra, it's not fun.
Or you don't get to play your instrument very often?
I mean, I do, but the thing is, he's always like, okay, so go into playing position, and I have to sit there for 10 seconds, which it can hurt after a while. I sit there for 10 seconds while he yaps on and was like, yes, and bass is the fourth finger shifting. I'm like, that's great, I don't care. Don't make me go into playing position yet. So, and he's always like, one more time. I'm gonna play it 7 more times. It hurts.
Okay. So you experience a bit of sadness in those moments.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm very annoyed.
What about, are there any times when you have where you feel extremely really tired, there's just no energy, you lose your appetite,
Oh no, I
feel
always have an
hopelessness?
appetite.
Okay,
I am always hungry,
okay.
even after I throw up.
So you're very hungry.
Yes, but I'm always hungry. That reminds me of the Mitski song. I love Mitski.
Mitski? Is it a song about food?
No, Abby is one of her songs, and it has I am hungry. It's not about food. But
Oh, okay. Okay.
I like that song.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask you a few questions. We're just gonna be to be honest, we're gonna talk about suicide. Have you ever thought about death or dying?
Like killing myself or just like death in general?
Killing yourself. You ever thought about killing yourself? How often do you think about suicide?
Not so often. Like,
Alright, I'm sorry. Or have you been thinking about suicide? I'm sorry.
no.
On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being definitely, how likely is it that you will attempt suicide within the next 3 days?
1.
Have you thought about how you would kill yourself?
No.
And you do not have a plan to kill yourself? Again, this just goes along with this assessment. It just... Okay, before I ask you to tell me how likely it was for you to kill yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, your response was 1. Now, if a score of 10 is it... Would you kill your... Okay, hold on, that one's obsolete. And you have no earlier attempts of trying to kill yourself?
No.
What about substances? Have you ever used anything like prescription drugs or like alcohol or tobacco? I would even include, I guess, vape. I guess vape and tobacco. That would kind of go along the same.
No, I'm scared of it.
Okay.
I never want to do it.
Do you have any difficulty solving problems?
Science problems.
Yes, because you had
I hate
expressed that
science.
you have a bit of sadness when you go into science.
I hate science.
Okay. Do you feel as though you have given up on trying to cope or solve your difficulties in life?
Kinda. Like, I don't know how to.
Yeah, I think more along the lines of like when you find yourself in difficult situations, are you able to cope and find like solutions? For the most part, like
sitting there a solution. Like just like without a solution.
it's just sitting there,
like always done.
just sit there and just kind of think
And just,
something
like,
over.
Zone out.
Okay. What or who brings meaning or purpose to your life?
My best friends.
Your friends. Do you have a nice social network of friends? That's a good thing. Do you go to school with a lot of your friends? Are they in your classes? Or
Most of them, yeah. There isn't like a single class where I don't know somebody.
not even English?
I
Or
sit with all my friends in
science?
English.
Do you have friends in science class?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have like 5 or 6.
Okay. That's a good thing. What or who keeps you alive?
My family, friends, and air, and food. I love food. And water.
You've mentioned food a few times, so that's a good thing. What are things that stress you out?
Homework.
Homework? Anything else stress you out? What about like socially? Do you ever have any issues like maybe like with you and your friends or any
I try to prevent that as much as possible.
you prevent?
Yeah.
No.
Conflict.
Do you prevent it or do you avoid it?
Both.
You avoid the conflict?
I try to. I don't want to be.
Now, if you are presented with conflict, how do you handle that?
I don't handle it well.
Okay, so say you and your friends were to get into a disagreement, how would you typically handle that?
Not well. I don't know.
Makes you uncomfortable?
Anxious.
So, just to circle back, when you said that you didn't want to go to school when you missed it those 3 times, Was there any conflict or anything that was waiting for you when you?
No. The one that I skipped school with was my only friend at that school.
Okay, so the one you skipped with was the only friend you had at that school.
Yeah.
So
like
you
one of
were.
the other ones. I had like 3.
Okay, so you didn't want to go into school because you didn't have friends in the school?
I just didn't want to go to school. I'm good with that.
Excuse me. So if you went into school on the other days, not those 3 days, but when you go in, what would a typical day be like once you?
I'd go in and like people would look at me because I just walked into the classroom and they were like, "You ready?" They did not like me.
How did you know they didn't like you?
They talked about me. I could hear them.
Like what would they say?
Just mean stuff.
Can you give me like an example of something they would say?
Just make fun of me for like anything.
Like
My interests, hyperfixations, special interests, like
hyperfixations. Like what do you mean?
like when you focus on one topic, like Percy Jackson.
So they make fun of you for focusing on one thing?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. And they would say this to your face?
No.
So how did you know they were saying this?
Because I could hear it.
And how'd that make you feel?
Not good.
Would it give you a bit of anxiety?
Not really anxiety.
A worry? Or
Just
how would you feel physically? Like how would your body feel when you would hear those things?
Oh.
Would you
It's
start
been a year. I don't remember.
Okay. Would you start feeling the same way you feel like in English where you start tapping your
Kinda,
leg
yeah.
and So what did the teachers do when these students would say these things?
They didn't know. At least I don't think they would.
You didn't tell any of your teachers?
No.
You didn't tell anyone else? Not. You didn't tell. Okay. Do you think if you told someone, it might have helped?
No. I think it would have made it worse.
So in a way, you felt like not telling was better.
Yeah.
So, in a way, would you say that was how you avoided the conflict of anything? Was by not showing up for those 3 days?
Yeah.
What were the consequences of not showing up for those 3 days?
I got grounded for like a school day. I got lunch detention for like a week. Nobody really cared that much.
Well, lunch detention and grounding doesn't sound like fun, but
I like lunch detention.
okay. So, do you feel like I'm curious as to what changed then? Was it just getting caught and having to have your lunch detentions and grounding? Then after that, you did do that again? You just did that those 3 times?
Yeah, because there wasn't really time to do it again. Because it was like the last 2 weeks of school.
Would you say that's all you've done though in terms of like, have you ever like gotten up in class and just like, I don't know, when you're not supposed to, or?
No. There was this one kid that ran out of the school though.
So you've never done something like that, or yelled at your teacher or anything?
No, but there was this girl who cussed out the teacher. It was really funny.
Okay. So would you say that, okay, if you were to rate this in terms of the emotion we're going to discuss is hopelessness, Do you ever feel like, okay, your options are never, rarely, sometimes, and always, okay? So, there is no hope, or I can't see a future. Do you ever feel like there's hopelessness?
Not really.
What about helplessness?
What's the difference?
Helplessness, no one can help me. There's no one there to help you. I mean, it almost sounds similar. It sounds like you kind of felt like no one was going to be able to help you before, although maybe that was more the anxiety coming through, because there would have been conflict there, right? So do you feel like there's helplessness at all? No one can help me? Never, rarely, sometimes, always, sometimes. Worthlessness, I'm not worth anything, or I'm not worth help.
Sometimes.
So never, rarely, sometimes, or always? Sometimes? Okay. How about loneliness? I'm all alone and no one understands me.
Never.
The anxiety, we talked about the anxiety. I worry or I'm anxious, never, rarely, sometimes, always.
Always.
You're always anxious. Are you anxious during, what was the class you said you really liked?
7th grade?
Yeah, are you anxious during that period?
Not usually.
So maybe not always? Is it more of a sometimes thing? Is there anything that makes you anxious in like the classes that you do really enjoy?
Not really. Unless they assign homework.
Okay. What about depression? I'm sad or I'm depressed. Would it be never, rarely, sometimes, always? Sometimes. Agitation. So that's like you're angry, you're irritated, you're agitated. Would you say that's more of like a never, a rarely, sometimes, rarely agitated?
I don't get mad very often.
Okay.
Oh, they're not my sister.
At your sister? Your siblings? You get mad at your siblings?
Just my sister.
You don't get along well with her? Is there a reason, or
She's mean.
she's mean to you? What does she do?
I mean, she hates me, and she's like yelling at me and all this.
She hits you?
Yeah.
And she's yelling at you?
Yeah.
And you guys live in the same house? How old is she?
18.
Oh, you have an older sister. So how do you handle that then when she starts doing those things?
I tell my mom, usually.
Okay. So wait, I think, did we go through? No, what makes you resilient?
What does that mean?
When you're resilient, when you face those difficult moments, but you keep going. What helps you be resilient?
Writing.
Writing? Oh, I like that. Okay. What or who are you connected with? Well, you mentioned your friends, right? You have your friends group, your network, your network of friends. And then family members. So you said you have your sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then do
My
you have
mom.
any more siblings?
My brother.
Your dad?
I don't like him. Not Skibbity.
You don't like your dad?
No.
Is there a reason why?
It's just not a good one.
There's not a good reason why?
He's not a good one.
He's not one of the good dads?
No.
So you guys don't really talk? He doesn't live with you? So, school. You said you really enjoy 7th period. You said you like your English teacher, but that's when you get a little bit of anxiety. You don't like science very much, right? Science class. Are you in any like clubs or any sports?
I do viola.
Okay. You enjoy that? That brings you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
That's a good
orchestra
thing.
class though. I don't like orchestra class.
What about church? Do you belong to church or?
Yeah.
And you feel, are you, do you participate like in church?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about neighbors? Do you have good neighbors?
Yeah.
How about family, friends?
I don't really know any like family friends. I only know like family.
Okay. So you think you're pretty good with, problem solving and like troubleshooting some things, like, okay. Just conflict. Conflict's the big thing you don't like. You really like to avoid that, huh?
Yeah.
Sounds like at all costs. And that might be where the whole skipping out of school thing came from. Because there was eventually gonna have to be conflict, huh? Deal with that. Okay. I mean, do you have any questions for me? I'm sorry, I forgot to ask that in the very beginning, if you had any questions before we got started.
No.
Okay. So I'm pretty painless, right? I appreciate this. Thank you so much for your time. And I had your mom sign the paper, so we're all set for that. And you said you had no more questions for me or anything? All right, well, yeah, again, thank you for your time. I enjoyed hearing about things at your school. And thank you for sharing. I know some things that probably weren't quite as easy